my name's Grace Cathey, and I am your host for this podcast, All My Favorite People. Starting a podcast has been a dream of mine for over 4 years, and I can't believe that it's finally happening because every time I've thought about it in the past, it just hasn't been the right time. But finally, the Lord was like, you need to start a podcast this year. And I was like, all right, it looks like it's time. So I'm so excited that you're coming on this journey with me and some of my favorite people as we talk about anything under the sun, from worship and Jesus to concerts, fan club theories, adventures. Honestly, whatever is on our mind that day is what we're going to talk about. So before we start this podcast, I felt like you needed to know a little bit about me and who I am and just my heart behind things. So as I said, my name is Grace and I live in the greater Nashville area. I live in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is about 30 minutes or so outside of Nashville, if you know where Nashville is on the map. I am a lover of music, writing, concerts, adventures, and also a great almond milk latte. You can't go wrong with that. And Alani Nu, those things get me through the day. I am the biggest cheerleader for my friends and my family and the people that I love. And spending time with them is honestly my most favorite thing in the world. And for my job, I am a worship leader and I lead worship at our church for a lot of next gen ministries, honestly. And for that, we loop in student ministry, college ministry, our young adult ministry at church. And I also get the opportunity to lead worship for our adult ministries and weekend worship as well, which is just so much fun. I run all of our original music at our church. We record and write music for our church. And I was a music business major, so I get to use my degree to help put these songs out into the world for our congregation and the local church to sing as they worship, which is so exciting. My testimony, I grew up in church. I grew up going to church every Sunday. I was put in children's choir at 2.5 years old. Honestly, if there was something with music that I could be a part of, I was doing music, whether it was at church, it was musical theater, whatever it was. But the church that I work at, I actually used to go to some when I was in late elementary school. And I tell this story all the time to those people that I work with. But I remember being like 9-10 years old, standing in our balcony, and I saw them leading worship one Sunday. And I was like, I want to do that one day. And at the time, I didn't know that that meant like using your voice for the Lord, you know, and just offering it as a sacrifice to him, you know, and just using it to lead the people and worshiping our creator. I honestly just wanted to be an artist like Hannah Montana, and I thought that that was a way that I could get on stage. So I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be up there, meaning the stage. But I also did want to be an artist. At first it was Hannah Montana, and then it was a country artist because I just fell in love with country music right before I started middle school, and I just loved the writing process that went into country music. So I really pursued that. I wrote all the time. My family moved to Alabama right before I started middle school, and I couldn't take my friends or my family or my hometown with me, but I could take country music, and that was the one piece of home I had with me. So I poured myself into writing my songs and really crafting what I wanted to say through music. And between that and choir in high school, I just really found my outlets and found my calling in life. I read Brad Paisley's autobiography, Diary of a Player, in 8th grade, and he said he went to Belmont University for music business, and I was like, that's what I want to do. And I didn't go to Belmont. I went to MTSU, which is here in Murfreesboro, but I did study music business, and I never looked back. So flash forward to college, I auditioned for the worship team fall 2018, and my first time on worship team serving was January 2019. And right around this time, I started having a lot of vocal cord problems and throat problems, and I had something that was kind of like the flu, but it wasn't the flu, and my whole family got it, and everyone got better except for me. And my throat was still sore. We went to all these doctors. No one could figure out what it was. And so I remember the night before the first time I was going to lead worship, it was a Thursday night service that we had. So Wednesday night I went to bed praying, and I was like, Lord, I just want to be able to lead your people in worship. Like, help me get my throat to be better, you know, like I just want to be a vessel for you. So I woke up that Thursday morning, my throat felt completely better, and I was like, wow, this is awesome, you know, like we're good to go. I sang worship that night, went to bed Thursday night, woke up Friday morning, and my throat was still hurting. And I was like, what in the world is happening? This is crazy. And so we almost went to a Vanderbilt vocal clinic for me for vocal nodes, and we didn't know what it was, and then it mysteriously just went away. So I went to worship a lot that spring with my worship ministry. I was leading a lot. And then summer 2019, I went to summer camp, and I was a camp counselor for my church. And I remember being in the back of the room, and I was watching all my girls just like worshiping up front with the band. All my friends were in the band. I kind of had FOMO that I wasn't hanging out with my friends, but I knew that the Lord had me there as a counselor that year. And I was watching, and it was so fun. And then I heard the Lord tell me, "You're on that side next time you're here." And I was like, what? It was kind of crazy, you know, because I was like, why is he saying this? Like, I don't want to be a worship leader. I want to be an artist, you know. So I had put music out in 2019, and then that fall after summer camp, I put an EP out. I had a whole release show, all this, and just the numbers that I wanted to see weren't coming, and I didn't know why. And so January 2020, I felt the Lord very clearly calling me away from trying to be an artist. And I was like, why are you saying this? Why are you doing this? This is what we've been planning my whole life. And the Lord was like, no, Grace, this is what you've been planning. And I was like, wow, that's kind of rude, God, but okay. And he told me, he was like, stop trying to be an artist and just focus on leading others in worship and writing songs, no matter what that is. And I was like, that seems too easy, but all right, my yes is on the table, you know. And from that, the Lord opened so many doors for me saying yes. I had just started interning with our worship ministry that fall before. And so I continued interning with our worship ministry, and I got opportunities from that. And eventually I graduated college, and I got hired on full-time at our church. So now I work at the church full-time, like I said, and it's just so sweet to be able to see how the Lord used that and used my talents in a way that I never thought would be used or imaginable, you know? So that's a little bit about me. But now for this podcast. This podcast is honestly for so many people, and I made a list of a few people that I'm really hoping get something out of this podcast. And so I'm going to read those off to you now. This podcast, first and foremost, is for anyone that is that next gen age, students, college, young adults, whatever it is, and you're just looking for somebody like you, whether it's somebody that's not married and you're in your early 20s and still single, but all your friends are married, or you're feeling wrestled, like you're wrestling with your call to ministry, and you're like, is this something that I want to be in full time? Is this what the Lord's calling me to do? You're running from being called into ministry, whatever it might be. Like, this is just a soundboard for you, and to hear people that are honestly in ministry now, or who thought they wanted to be in ministry and the Lord called them to do something in the corporate world, but they're still getting to be a vessel for the Lord, you know. This is also for someone that you're not sure if you're a Christian or not, or if you want to believe in this person called Jesus. That's okay. We have a place for you here. We want you to get fed and hear more about the Lord. And DM me with questions if you have it, or whoever it is that's on my podcast. I'll tag them on my Instagram whenever their episodes come out. But we want to be here for you and answer questions that you might have and point you towards the Lord. But this podcast is honestly also for the mom of the friend group. That's me, aka what I call the text me when you get home so I know you got back safe friend. I'm always that person. I don't know if anyone else is out there like that, but I know that's me. This is for the fangirl, or the person that really loves Taylor Swift, or all these fan theories, or just you're passionate about different things. Like, we're passionate about it too. I'm passionate. Every single person that I'm going to bring on here has a passion for something. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how it's okay to have passions and just pour your free time into that, because that's honestly, like, you're not called to just go to work and then come home and go to sleep and do it all over again. You're supposed to have a full life. And that's something that I've learned a lot over the past few years, is how to have those passions and just fuel them in my free time. This is for the person that loves going on adventures. I love traveling. Some of my closest friends love traveling, and we want to share travel experiences and everything like that. And finally, this is for that person that wants to break out of their shell and finally knows metaphorically what it means to dance without caring what other people think in public. Because I was that person for so long. I was scared to be who I truly wanted to be, because I felt like I had to be a certain way. Whether it was, I was in choir and I wanted to be the choir nerd, the Rachel Berry from Glee, you know, just like totally sold out for that, which, don't get me wrong, I loved my days in choir, but I feel like because I was in that artsy place in high school, that was the only thing that I could be. I felt like I only could act a certain way, or I was supposed to love being in front of people all the time, which I hate being in front of people. But you know, like I got to college and I was like, wow, I can be whoever I want to be. And then the more into college I got, I was like, wow, I can be exactly who the Lord created me to be. And I can be loud, but I can be quiet if I want to be. And I can talk as much as I want about the things that I love, because honestly, the Lord gave me these passions and this love for worship and music and writing and plants and travel and all that stuff, just because like every person is created unique, and that's who He called me to be. So I hope that through this podcast, you can just find that it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to break out of your shell and not be who you were in high school, not be who you were last year, and just be exactly who you were created to be. So I hope that you can just find a place here in this podcast for you, find a place with me and my friends. I know that I might talk a lot and I might be bad at telling jokes, and I'm not a good driver, but I'm really good at finding a way to bring people together and just make people feel comfortable. So I hope you join us on this journey together. And this isn't the first official episode. The first official episode will be up soon. But until then, feel free to follow me on Instagram. You can just search my name, gracec.cathey, Cathey, number 3. And I am on Instagram. I'm on social media, and we can be friends and talk. And I can't wait for you to join us on this journey.